folks. I'm Craig Lipinski.
And I'm Megan Briscoe.
And you're listening to episode 21 of Ludowave Radio, the smooth sounds of video game talk. And you're not Chris or Seth?
I am not.
Who are you?
I'm Megan, and I'm Craig's almost wife and fellow cat parent. And, yep, that's me. It's just me.
You just define yourself by me and the cats.
Well, I mean, I got other stuff, but mostly that's how people would know who I am.
That's how I identify myself.
Oh, okay.
Chris and Seth are not available to record this episode. Seth, as we know, is in Nova Scotia for his biannual sex.
Bonetown.
Bonetown.
He went to Bonetown.
Bonetown, Nova Scotia. And Chris was all set to record, and last minute he's just like, nope, sorry, can't. And then we see pictures of him at Disney.
But it's his wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Jackie.
Happy birthday, Jackie. But it's like, oh man, I forgot I'm going to Disney.
Did you?
Just totally drop the ball and going to Disney.
That's okay.
He goes so often he doesn't know that he's going. Why don't you the listeners only know about you secondhand through me. Mm-hmm. You want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, my name's Megan, and some fun facts about me are I like to start projects like learning the ukulele and then just kind of not actually keep it up. Same goes for craft projects. I'm a Gemini, but don't believe in that shit, but it's really accurate, and...
Gemini's a twin, right?
Well, but...
Which makes sense.
Not every twin is a Gemini.
I know. I guess I figured that much.
But the personality traits tend to be pretty similar, like needing to be the center of attention. And our cats, just being cats. I like fan fiction and cats and projects.
You were not prepared
I was not prepared to answer that question. I don't know how to talk about myself in such a way.
That's fine. We never talk about ourselves on this podcast.
But you do.
I was being a smart ass.
Well, I listen. I know.
Yeah, usually we spend about 20 minutes talking about ourselves.
What's going on? What's going on with you? What's going on in your life? I didn't just see you all day. Tell me all about it.
There's really not a lot going on. I've been doing a lot of art. As a condition for being on unemployment insurance, you have to look for work and apply for jobs, and I do that. But and if I get something that comes my way and it looks good and I get an offer and everything, you and I agreed I would take it. But I think that I'm leaning more towards going into business for myself. Art being just one component of that, because although I am actually selling quite a bit of art, it just keeps adding up more than it ever has in the past, which is great. It's not gonna pay our rent.
Probably not.
So, probably do some freelance content marketing. There's certainly a market for that, and I have, contacts and a path forward for that. I think there's a potential for me to go into business for myself, and I think that, I'd be a lot happier and more productive doing that.
I know you will be.
So really mostly just doing art and having a 3-day migraine. That's my life is just chronic. For the record, I don't really talk. I haven't been talking about it lately, but my neck and my shoulder, my back issues just it never really went away. It got a lot better. I live mostly a functional life at this point. Obviously, I'm not going to an office every day or commuting or anything, but I'm largely functional at this point. But it still hurts, and some days are worse than others, and it just has not been great lately. But I think that's mainly it for me. I really am D&D. We've been playing D&D with our pals.
Playing D&D with our pals. Painted our minis. Everybody's came out super good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Wedding stuff mostly.
Yeah, it's almost 5 weeks.
Yep.
5 weeks.
Doing that crunch time crafting, because that's how I do, and. Your shit's all done. You don't have any crafting. I gotta get one of my groomsmen to go get his fucking fitting for his Chris.
I don't think Chris listens to this.
Calling you out. He doesn't, but I'm gonna tell him anyway.
It takes 5 minutes. They run a tape over you and go, yep, that's you.
That's your size.
That's how big you are. but he's been dragging his feet on that one. And if you want to check out some of my work, I actually opened a website for my art, and that's Minato Artworks, Minato artworks.com. It's kind of, I mean, it's a full web. I mean, I think there's potential to add more stuff to it, but it's a full feature website as it is now. So
I showed my boss.
You showed your, what did she think of it?
She thought it was really nice.
Nice. All right, cool. I got your boss's approval.
She was like, "Ooh."
Nice.
Told her about where all the art hangs. So
tell her to buy some.
She would probably do commissions because she loves her dogs. So
I don't really do dog. I don't really do a lot of animals.
I know, but
yeah, people like their animals, and it's just like, oh, here's your stick figure dog.
Here's your weird portrait that I tried to do.
It's all very basic line art.
Please.
Yeah. No, I could probably pull it off, but. Yeah, that's it. You want to talk about some video games? You got...
Yeah, sure. No one cares what I've been doing, and the answer is not a whole lot. So.
Neither of us have been doing it now. That's true.
Doing that routine.
So, I have been playing more Saints Row 4, which I still think is I think it's a phenomenal game. I think it's a great power fantasy. I think it's last episode I talked about how the writing is... Some of it does not... it's already sort of outdated, and it does not hold up very well, but...
Yes.
Some of it's still genuinely good and funny, and I think that for instance, some of the writing is really good. Is there are these loyalty missions? So in Saints Row 4, because it's Saints Row and it's absolutely ridiculous, you're the president, and then aliens invade, and then put humanity or whatever's left of humanity because they blow up the Earth into the Matrix, basically, and you're working to free people from the Matrix, and then that kind of becomes sort of like Matrix / Mass Effect, because everyone's on this ship, and then you can fuck them, and that's literally you can because Mass Effect has romance options, and you can build up to it,
that.
And then in Saints Row 4, you can just fuck them.
There's no romancing.
That is the romancing.
That's not romance.
That's the romance.
Okay.
You just get a prompt to bang. And
do you want to fuck?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it does. I think it calls it romance.
That is okay. Right.
And it's like, hey, Kinsey, want to fuck? And that's it. Then
and the 12-year-old playing this is like, hell yeah.
Probably.
Play that dubstep.
Well, I think Mass Effect is a little more graphic in its
like The Witcher.
Romance. Yeah.
Or Dragon Age. Does that have?
I think it does, but I never played through a Dragon Age long enough to. BioWare games generally are not my jam.
Gotcha.
But the loyalty missions, as you free people, you can do missions with them. You don't have to; they're side missions, but they unlock more abilities and experience and bring you closer to this other person. And they allow for this kind of writing that's unique to that character to allow, because it's a game really about jumping over buildings and shooting stuff.
Right.
There's not a lot of nuance. There's no subtlety. Fighting aliens. And between having these unique characters and then having this Matrix simulation where anything can happen, it gives you an opportunity to flesh out these side characters that normally wouldn't get a lot of play in between jumping over buildings and shooting aliens. And so you have someone who is a big fan of this British TV show that's sort of Supernatural cross X-Files cross Doctor Who.
Okay.
And so you actually enter into the simulation in a scenario in this, and it's very fan fiction-y. It's very hammy. I did. It's very hammy.
You wanted me to watch you play that
because I think you enjoy it.
Have you gotten there?
I have it on hold right now. Okay. I've played it before because I've played the game before.
After this, I guess.
Yeah. So, and that's really good. That's really funny. That's really good. Lets that character shine, and then lets you play. Basically makes that character building interactive, because then you get to play in this scenario about this fictional TV show.
Gotcha.
And then another one is this loyalty mission. I forget the circumstances why you have to drive, because it's dude, I can fly, but you're driving through this simulated neighborhood that the Saints come from with this person that you're doing the loyalty mission with, and Paula Abdul's Opposites Attract come on the radio, and you and this other character sing along. One person takes the Paula Abdul, and the other person takes on MC Scat Cat, and you sing along with each other. And it's really simple. It's just two people singing along to Opposites Attract, but it's effective. It's effective.
Charming.
It's charming. It's very charming. Actually, in the credits, there is all the character voice actors sing Opposites Attract. It's really funny. So Saints Row 4 is still good. If you haven't played it, You should. Some of it's kind of cringy, but some of it's still really, really solid. I've also been playing Yoku's Island Express because it was on sale on the Switch eShop, and I'm not sure that I'm that into it. It's a lot of people love it. It's on sale. I think it's still on sale, and a lot of people whose opinions I respect on Twitter were saying, "Oh, you got to play this. It's really good. It's on sale. You should play it now." And I said, "All right, I'll buy." It's like $11 or something, so I bid. And if you haven't played it, it's kind of like a pinball Metroidvania, which is a weird combination. And I guess from my perspective, a little frustrating on both accounts. So you play as like this little dung beetle, and you push along a little dung ball, like a fossilized dung ball, and that's like a pinball. You'll be walking around, and then you'll drop into or enter an area that's like basically in order to navigate it or to move forward or whatever, it's pinball. Mm-hmm. And it's neat. Like, it's a neat concept to have this Metroidvania that's interspersed with, these mini pinball tables. But pinball, while it absolutely has an element of skill, also, at least in my experience, has an element of, like, luck. Like, you hit the flipper and you're like, I just need you to go up that ramp. And then it ends up becoming tedious to navigate because you're trying to bounce this dung ball around this table and trying to collect these crystal shards to unlock a gate, to move forward. And I find it a little tedious than I'd prefer. And then, as far as the Metroidvania aspect goes, the items you know what a Metroidvania is, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the items that you get in order to like move forward, the first one you get is actually like one of those party noisemakers, those blowy things. Yeah. And that's how you interact with things. Aww. So it's really cute. There's a little beetle blows in, and
it sounds like something I'd love to like see a GIF of that or a little video.
It's adorable, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then like another item that you get is, here's a vacuum cleaner that sucks up garden slugs, and there's no explanation to any of that. There's no like all of a sudden there's just like slugs everywhere.
But it's a dung beetle sized vacuum.
No, I don't know.
I'm concerned about the
right. So
scale.
You get the item. It doesn't really explain what it does or how it works. And all of a sudden, there just ends up being slugs on every table now. So then, what ends up happening is if you bounce around and you go past a slug, it kind of goes in slow mo for a hot second, so that you can press the button to suck it in. And then what ends up happening, the slug attaches to your dung ball. But I'm not really sure to what end because it doesn't
affect it.
Not that I've noticed. Maybe it absorbs a hit for you. Oh. So you collect fruit, and fruit is, I think, both your health and your currency. And you'll collect fruit, and like you'll go through an area, and you'll see like a locked pinball plunger. So we need like 30 fruit to unlock it, and you unlock it. Now you can bounce yourself up to a higher. So that's how it works as a currency, and how it works as health is in many of the pinball quote unquote tables. In the gutter, there's like a thorny, like a briar patch. So you'll fall through that and you'll lose some fruit.
Okay.
And
once you're out of fruit,
I haven't run out of fruit yet, so I don't know. But I imagine that's some sort of like restart to a checkpoint or something.
Go to dung beetle heaven.
There's all sorts of like flowers that act as save points. So I assume that those are also checkpoints.
Yeah, probably.
You pass through a flower. Maybe the slugs absorb a hit through the briar patch.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or maybe you can. I'm not really sure. Like you have to absorb. You have to observe it to see what it does because the game doesn't
explain it.
Not that I've noticed so far.
Gotcha.
So. I guess for me, it just seems sort of. I love the concept, and it's a really cute game. Cute. It's got a lot of heart, and I understand why other people like it. I just think ultimately it's not
your jam.
It's not doing it for me. And that's as far as like the eShop, a lot of like eShop darlings lately are kind of like that. Like I there's Yoku's Island Express, Hollow Knight is a big one right now. Dead Cells is a big one. I think there was another one that released recently that people were really into. And I look at them and I go, there's some part of me that would enjoy that, because we talked about Hollow Knight right here on the show, and Chris was loving it because it's also a Metroidvania. I like Metroidvanias, but I don't like the Dark Souls aspect of dying and then losing your stuff and having to go reclaim. I don't like that. And then Dead Cells is a Metroidvania, but it's a roguelike Metroidvania, which I'm not 100% sure how that works. People seem to love it, so it must work. But I don't know if it's going to be... I mean, I can enjoy a good roguelike. I never finish them. I don't know if the intent is to finish a roguelike. Like, I recently downloaded Enter the Gungeon, and I like it, but I'm never gonna finish that game.
I think what was Has Been Heroes a roguelike?
No, that was more of a strategy game.
Oh, okay, well, I hated it, so...
Well, roguelikes are... Do you know what a roguelike is?
I don't like losing. Yeah, you explained it to me.
And roguelikes are I mean, losing is part
I don't like that.
of the formula. And I can appreciate, like, what was that one? Rogue Legacy. I liked that one. Dead Cells seems to have a level of permanence that you can carry between runs. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if that... I'm going to throw down $25 for that.
I get attached to all the shit I collect. I don't want to lose anything.
Yeah, you'll lose it.
Yeah,
so, like, there's a part of me that looks at these games and goes, these look really good. There are aspects of it I enjoy, but I think there are aspects of it that would be off-putting and I wouldn't finish them.
Right.
And so, like, that's... I guess, in one way, it's frustrating because it's like, well, I want it to be 100% what I like so I can play it. But it is also frustrating because there's sort of like a FOMO aspect.
Yeah.
And I can't talk about Dead Cells or Hollow Knight. Oh, The Messenger, well, that's the latest one on the eShop. I mean, people are really... I might be more into The Messenger. That seems more up my alley. But people seem really into that one. But I'm skeptical because I see why people like them. It's just not 100% for me. And of course, I've also been playing Overwatch. Shouting
at the plebs.
Oh my god! Well, that was just I've gotten better about my shouting. I'm an old man. I shout at the TV. I've gotten better. I was really bad today, though. But
you were really bad.
I was so I'm as I've said before numerous times on the show. I'm good at the game. And other people are good. We were playing one match today where the other team, they were really good. They had an excellent Tracer, an excellent Zenyatta. They had a Genji that was on point, and a decent Orisa. An Orisa that could throw down a barrier and stand behind it. They were doing good. They were a good team. But my team was was just a bumbling bunch of fucks, and they could not get their shit together. And I'm Lucio, who's a healer. And we have a Moira. I mean, I smoked the Moira in healing, which is ridiculous. I had a gold in healing. I had a gold in objective time. I had a bronze in damage. Like, it's just what the rest of you guys do. I'm not a damage dealer, man. It's just really frustrating to see everyone. The opposite team had a Hammond that was killing it. That Hammond had pinpoint accuracy. He could swing around. He was really good at crowd control, and our Hammond would just immediately die. He would roll in, and then he would just get shot to death. I'm like, why can we trade Hammonds here? Because this Hammond he sucks. I think I've gotten better at taking losing in stride. It's just irritating to see
so much incompetency.
Yeah, get your shit together.
Well, I went over to see my sister-in-law, Craig's brother's wife, and her 6-year-old was playing Overwatch, and I was watching him, and he was playing Reaper, and he was just wandering around, and I was like, these are the people that I fucking shout at when I'm like, what are you doing?
We're playing at 6-year-olds.
It's because there's children who are playing, and of course they're not going to be on the payload because they haven't gotten to that part of the understanding. They're in the how do I shoot phase, and they're playing on their parents' account, and their parent might have, played all those levels, so that's why they're a level 100, but really the person holding the controller's a child or a dingus, so that's why I tell myself when I get frustrated, it's like, remember, little kids play this too.
Yeah, they got millions of players, so there's got to be kids.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't bother me, but it does because I like the game. I like understanding strategies, understanding the metas,
doing research,
watching other people play. Like this is like the only game. Well, that maybe Destiny as well. That I really do that in, and it's frustrating to see like none of that matter because I am playing with people who aren't playing with. Maybe they don't have thumbs. Maybe they're using their nose. Like I don't know because they are just so bad. But that's okay. That's okay. We had the summer event. I got the skins that I wanted. I got Diva's Wave Racer and Cabana Anna, and It was pretty good.
Gotta save up my Scrogmolians for Cabana Anna.
Scrogmolians?
Scrogmolians.
Is that like
That's what I call it.
Is like a Neopets currency?
I don't know. It's something like my dad used to say all the time.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea where it came from.
Just an old man Navy
I
term.
Guess so. Something. Yeah, I've got like 500 more coins I need. Bought that goddamn Grillmaster 76.
Yeah, it's good skin.
It's a good skin.
So, well, I think the Summer Games event is over.
Shit.
So you saved up for nothing.
I guess I don't get Cabana Anna until next year.
I don't think you'll have to wait till next year.
Or maybe the anniversary event. Who knows? That's sooner, right?
Might be. Yeah.
I don't know.
So
having events.
What have you been playing?
So what I play besides Overwatch, which is a fairly regular sort of game that I play almost every day.
What's your experience? Who do you main in Overwatch?
Zarya and Moira when it's mayhem.
You're very good at both of them.
It's very fun. I like being Zarya.
I think you get just match made up with a different crowd than I do.
Well, I'm significantly lower level. I'm like 225.
Yeah.
So, and you're like 400 and something.
Yeah.
So I'm playing with people who perhaps haven't sat next to their significant other watching Overwatch videos and sort of absorbed some of that information.
That's true.
So I try and keep some of that. Plus, then they also don't have their personal coach telling them what to do.
Megan, what the fuck are you doing?
Megan, why'd you do that? What were you thinking? Why? It's like, yeah, I know, leave me alone. Thank you. So, besides Overwatch, I have a mobile game that I play called Castle Cats. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You have cats, but you're a guild leader. And the whole purpose is to collect guild members who are all different cats. And each cat is some sort of nerd reference. So there is a Koshek from Welcome to Night Vale. There's a Blink cat that looks like Tracer. There's, like 100 and something of these cats. Tracer from Overwatch, sorry. I guess I shouldn't assume everyone knows about Overwatch. You start out with nothing. There's like base materials that you use.
Do you have any cats? Do you even have like a starter cat? You have
you have a starter set of three cats that are like the main. They're main cats. There's no Pokemon ones.
Oh, that's weird.
It's weird. There's no supernatural ones. There's no Pokemon ones. So
that's right. Why? That's right for nerd
I know.
references.
Maybe they're holding on to them. But you start out with like the basic cats because there's like main story quests that sort of introduce you to how to play the game.
What makes a cat a basic cat?
Just the three that you start with. It's Katniss from Hunger Games, Conan from Conan the Barbarian.
That's a weird. Yeah, they have a Conan the Barbarian, but not a Pokemon
weird.
His
name's Conan. He's cute. He's a warrior. And then there's Francis, who I don't know what reference he's from because he's a mage. But there's already Barry the cat, who's Harry Potter. So he's got a little Patronus and everything. He's
Barry Potter.
He's Barry Potter. So you start with these three cats because they're like the main guild members, and all of the other cats that you collect eventually show up in like the quests, the story quests. So you learn about them and you do little quests with them, and you evolve them because.
Do you sing opposites attract together?
No, but we should.
I don't know about this game anymore.
It's really fun because there's all kinds of things to collect and ways to improve your kitties, and they're constantly having events that require specific materials for the event, so you can use the materials to grow eggs, which gets special cats. So it's a lot of.
So in this universe, the cats are in eggs.
The cats are in eggs. Yeah, they don't pop them out of cat moms, which because kids play it, I guess. So it's easier just to be like eggs. Eggs is for it. So there's like two different kinds of embers that you use to evolve your cats, and you can get the embers from like quests because you send your cats on quests, and that's how you get experience to both level your guild leader themselves. And so I'm level 142 because I played this game almost 400 days in a row, and so you get little gifts when you log in on a daily basis, and they keep getting better. And like I got a fancy cat for day 365. And
does it just keep getting like at this point? Are they just like giving you top tier items?
Well, I'm getting like 7 rare green embers, which are the hardest ones to get, and you use those to evolve your cats, or to like used for eggs, and like it's a whole thing. There are in-app purchases, which I have spent probably $25, over the last
400 some
over 400. Yeah, so I usually do that because I'm worried about not getting the egg for the event in time, because the events only last for like 30 days.
Oh man, they make you sweat it out with that FOMO, huh?
Well, the thing is, in the beginning, now I know the events come back. But the events are on like a cycle.
So they're sort of like Overwatch, where they're annualized.
But I had no idea because Castle Cats is relatively new.
Right.
So they just had their 2-year anniversary. So I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get the fancy cats. So that's Castle Cats, and it's fun.
So how is the gating? Like, so for me, when I'm playing a mobile game that has in-app purchases, it's based around like currency or whatever.
Right.
The big difference is between I feel compelled to buy it, in which case I just immediately stop playing. Or I'm enjoying the game so much, and they give me so much for free that I don't mind throwing up a couple of bucks to get a little bit more because I am enjoying it so much.
It's the second one. Like they offer, you can buy very special cats that you can't egg. Babe, you can't make a little eggy for.
How much do they cost?
They're $5 a cat, and I've never bought any of those cats because I could give a shit. They've got like a Gordon Ramsay cat, and sometimes he goes on sale, and you can use gems for those cats, but for the event cats that are fancy, it's $5 a cat. But every day they have something called a Time Walker, and it's a cat from an event that you can either get from an egg or you would have bought, and they're available for gems. And so gems are like the fancy extra currency that you can get from quests, or you can buy gems. I've never bought gems. I just farm them.
So what do you buy? What do you buy?
I buy event materials. No, I don't buy embers. I buy event materials. And that's because
sounds like a lot of materials in this game.
There are a lot of materials.
It's like Destiny.
I really like it. Like, well, I'm like a completionist, and this you can't ever complete it because they're constantly adding things, and there's all this stuff to collect. But it's okay to use it because you're going to keep collecting it. So for me, it's really
so I feel like you're ascribing a positive element.
Yes,
to this.
I enjoy it.
Oh, you enjoy? Okay, because to me, it almost sounds negative. Like they're assaulting you with so much shit, and you can never get it all, but you feel compelled to get it all.
No,
and that sounds bad.
Eventually, I think it'll get to the point. Like right now, I have 100 and something red rare embers. In the beginning, I needed all of those to evolve my cats, but I've evolved all the cats that require those embers. So now I'm just, anytime I get them, I'm like, cool, adding it to the pile because there's a very special egg that requires 100 of each.
Okay, can you sell them for gems or whatever?
No, you can't transfer embers to gems, but the embers will always be useful because they're always adding cats. So eventually you'll use them to evolve. So you just hang on to them, or you get you make fancy cats, or like whatever. Okay. I haven't hit a point where I'm just like, fuck this game. So
obviously,
I play it every day. So
I find it difficult to stick to mobile games because they have that kind of like gating, whether it's time gating or material gating, and just for me, like Destiny even has that. And I know that Seth's girlfriend Jody is going to be very upset that I'm talking about Destiny. There's an expansion coming out next week. I'm gonna buy the expansion just to spite Jody. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do that. I don't think I'm going to buy the expansion.
No.
But Destiny has an overwhelming... Destiny is almost like a mobile game in a full feature AAA product.
No, I'd hate that.
There's so much gating, whether it's time gating or material gating. You have to complete 50 Crucible matches with this weapon to level it up, and
it's not remotely like that. It's way lower.
It sounds like that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's way lower, and you don't need to buy embers. It's more like... Because quests, depending on the level of the quest, because your cats can go from level 1 to level 10. And so quests that start at level 10 that require level 10 cats take 2 hours. So you're not sitting there for 2 hours watching this thing.
Sure.
You're setting and forgetting. So it takes some time, but you're not spending all your time on your phone trying to like level up your shit. Like you'll come back, they'll have leveled, you go, yay, okay, you get your quest rewards, then you move on with your life.
Right.
And you can play it. There are some days where I'm so busy, all I do is get the daily reward. I don't do shit besides get the daily reward, so it keeps my streak going.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, I can't be bothered, and that's fine. Like, you're not... The only reason why you go and do the daily quest is to get more coins so you can buy cat boxes, which either gets you a cat or you can dismiss the cat for an ember or whatever. There's a whole market thing, which I didn't figure out for the longest time, and I felt so stupid when I finally figured it out. I was like, good God, I would have been so much better off had I noticed this is how it works like 25 levels ago.
And this is really the only mobile game that's had its hooks in you like this.
Yeah, no, I don't. Besides Threes.
Threes is good, but Threes to me is a much more traditional. It doesn't strike me as a mobile game in the sense of like the gating that most mobile games.
Right.
It's a mobile game in the sense that like it's built around touch and quick sessions.
Yeah, I tried. What was that game? It was like the adorable like hot food fantasy. I tried that. I couldn't even get through the tutorial.
I've never even heard of this.
There were so many fucking like things you had to do. It's like anime food where like you own food and they're all like hot and like they're named after.
Is it a they're all hot.
Yeah, so like the Boston one is a lobster, but he's like a hot anime boy who has like red clothing, and he's like the villain. Yeah, it was a whole thing. I couldn't even get through the tutorial because it was so involved. I was like, I can barely pay attention to this because there's so much shit on the screen. I'm not remotely interested in playing this any longer. Never mind. But it was, for the like 10 minutes I tried it, it was cute. But there's just too much going on, and that offers in-app purchases. And if I had actually stayed with it, maybe I would have been interested. But nah, like I like my mobile games to be like relatively simple and not. You have to be on your phone actively playing for a period of time.
Fallout Shelter was probably the last one.
Yeah, and eventually it got to the point where I was like, I'm wasting so much of my life doing this. Never mind.
You feel like Castle Cats is less demanding than Fallout Shelter?
Yes.
Okay.
Because when you send your cats on quests, you have the option to like go into battle with them, but that's just tapping. You're just tapping. Like that's fine.
So the game gives you an option to like blow that off?
Yeah, you can just... So when you go into battle, what you're actually doing is making the quest take less time because you're fighting enemies and there's like 18 steps. Mm-hmm. And if you hit the 18th step, it only takes a couple of minutes. So the 2-hour quest only took 3 minutes. So you're just accelerating the process to where you get your quest rewards.
I wonder, do they display ads while you're doing that? I wonder what the engagement is there.
So... Actually, yes, they might at the end.
That's probably why. That's a trade-off.
The only time they show ads is like when you complete a quest, you can get extra gold sometimes, and you get twice the amount of gold if you watch a 30-second ad. I never do it because I have enough gold, like it doesn't matter. But in the beginning, when you're still trying to like get resources, that I did that a lot.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a fun game. I like it. I'm sure people are tired of hearing about it, but if you like cats and you like nerd
and you
shit,
like castles,
and you like castles, and you like collecting things and material management, I guess this might be a game for you.
I downloaded a mobile game the other day. I was on my iPad, which I've been using to improve my digital art, and which has gotten better, I think.
Yeah.
And I downloaded. I was looking for something to play on my iPad because it's just something. I mean, that screen size difference just can fundamentally change a game. Mm-hmm. And I like sim builders. I'm actually kind of disappointed that there really aren't any on the DS or the 3DS. There's a couple. There's a couple of SimCity branded games on the DS and a really shitty version of Roller Coaster Tycoon on the 3DS.
I think Roller Coaster Tycoon is available on like iOS products.
It is now. Yes. So what was happening before is that there were these old brands had come back, like Theme Park, which is kind of like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but they were like mobilified, so they were all time gated and they were right. And I'm just like, can I just pay for a game? And you can actually do that with the Roller Coaster Tycoon trilogy, the old one. I think it's like somewhere between $5 and $10, and you can actually get the whole suite,
right?
Which is really cool. And that's what I want. There's actually one called Pocket City, and it's got really good reviews. I've read really good things about it. And it's the only one that I've really seen that is like a Sim City builder on mobile that you like pay for it and you get a fucking game. And I would much rather do that. So I was like, oh, this looks great. And I downloaded it and I just fucking haven't played it. I'll get it eventually.
We've got a long to-do list of crap that we should be doing.
There's just a lot of games to play.
Yeah.
There's not enough time or money for that matter.
Well, that's my problem because like I got Hiragana Pixel Party. It was on sale. I played 3 levels. It was very fun but also stressful because even though I knew the characters, I was still afraid I didn't know the characters.
Well, so what is Hiragana Pixel Party?
Hiragana Pixel Party is a rhythm learning game where you are this adorable little pixel girl hopping your way along a landscape, but to a rhythm, and the buttons that you're pressing correspond to either a hiragana or a romanji character.
So this helps you learn.
This
ostensibly
helps me learn hiragana. And because you have to do it to a rhythm and you have to know what symbol means what, it's forcing you to like actually recognize like, oh, this character is for I, because I doing Duolingo a billion times, I still can't understand some of them, but I can tell like this game is going to force me to learn it because I don't like losing. So
has it been doing that?
Well, I've only played 3 levels because I've spent too much time playing Castle Cats and reading fan fiction and romance novels. So so one day I'll go back to it.
Yeah.
I got Crossing Souls.
We both got Crossing Souls.
We both got Crossing Souls.
Hiragana Pixel Party is on the Switch for the record.
Yes, it is.
And so we also got Crossing Souls.
Yeah, they were
on the Switch
having
as well.
some eShop stuff, and I got Crossing Souls on the Switch. I haven't even finished the tutorial because we were watching something, so I couldn't read the game and watch the thing. So I just
and that's that. You know what? Seth is going to listen to this and feel very validated by what you just said.
I can't play something that requires reading.
See, I can.
I can play Picross for 10 hours while we watch something because I don't need to read anything. But if you want me to be engaged with the text in the game and the story, I can't watch Ozark Season 2 and play Crossing Souls. It's not going to work for me. So that's why I don't play a lot of games like that. It's a lot of like time consumers or quick, Picross is fantastic, especially like the new Switch version because they took the time limit off. So on the DS versions, like there was a time limit for each level, and so I'd get so close to finishing it and then fuck up and it'd be like, oh, over the time limit, so I'd have to try and memorize where the stuff was, so I had to redo the whole thing and hope I didn't fuck up again and not hit the time limit because otherwise you can't advance. And I mean, you could move to the next puzzle, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to finish every puzzle. So this is much more forgiving, which is great because sometimes I'm like holding my Switch and like watching something, and then I look down and I'm like, oh shit, right?
Does it still track your time though?
It does, but it doesn't matter.
You don't care.
It's like beat yourself, and I'm like, I don't care. I can spend 10 minutes because I know I was probably like distracted by something.
That's all right.
So yeah, I play a lot of that on the games that I play is like.
Stuff that you can kind of watch TV to.
Sort of commit to, but not entirely.
Yeah. See, I don't really have that problem. Mainly because a lot of video game text just sort of washes over me. It's not, most of it's just not that good or important.
I don't know if it's going to be good or important,
Fair
so
enough.
I want to read it.
I feel like I have a second sense or sixth sense of the seconds.
I don't have
a sixth sense for it. Like, there's MASH A. But all right, you want to talk about some video game news?
Yeah, okay.
So what we got here? For the record, I compiled this. I think I did.
It's very obvious that you compiled it.
Is it okay? So
yes.
So first up, we got PEGI, which is the European version of the ESRB. It's the ratings board. Announces a new descriptor for integrated purchases for in-game purchases, and I think this is great. I mean, I think they should absolutely be on games to inform people. Parents or even just general consumers. It doesn't even have to be for parents. I think all the times we think of like PEGI or ESRB as something to alert parents, but even just the general consumer needs to know this stuff. The only thing that I wish it differentiated between types of purchases, because I think this is just a blanket, like if it has like a map pack,
right,
it has this descriptor. But I think the big thing right now are like loot boxes, and that has that gambling element. I wish that had that kind of descriptor, but this is probably like that middle ground, because a lot of publishers don't want that descriptor on their packages. They don't want people to know. They don't want people to not buy. Oh, gambling! I'm not buying this.
Right.
Like surprise, it's got gambling.
So does Overwatch's loot boxes, like, is that considered gambling?
It depends on who you talk to. A lot of people have different opinions on this.
Okay.
Some people might say it's not gambling because you're not getting anything of like monetary value.
Right. But you spend money to get loot boxes.
Right. And not only that, but there's a lot of psychology built into these things to sort of like emulate how gambling feels. When you like a loot crate in Overwatch doesn't just be like, poof, here's your stuff. It's like a build up. There's a whole build up, like the little notches click down, and then it explodes, and then it plays fanfare, and your little discs fly into the air, and you can see that it's gold or purple. And you're like, what is it? And like, so it sort of emulates gambling, and I think that's the argument. I sort of gotta go, okay. It triggers the same sort of like addictive elements that gambling does.
All right.
And so there's like discussions about, okay, well, do we get rid of these or not? And I have mixed feelings about. I don't know if you should outright get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Some people might have a more compelling argument why you should. I just think at the very least there should be something on the back of the box with the descriptors that says it has. I don't know what you would call. I don't know what the official name for it would be, but just something that there is a loot box gambling component.
Right.
To this game.
There's some sort of monetary
chance element.
Bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you have the opportunity to spend your actual human money on in-game shit.
But, the big publishers don't like that. They don't like to think of it that way. They don't want those descriptors. The ESA doesn't want, agrees with that. They don't want. I think the ESA, do they own the ESRB? Do they run the ESRB? Something like that, I think. And, they don't want to do that because they represent the publishers. They're a lobby group that represent the publishers, not the customer.
Gotcha.
I think in one episode I likened them to the NRA. Like they sort of put themselves in the position to be representing the customers, but they're not. They're really representing
their interests.
The interests of the manufacturers in the case of the NRA, or the publishers in the case of the ESA.
So hopefully parents would see what's on the box and understand that.
Well, here's hoping. I don't know how much research parents do. I mean,
mine didn't do any.
No, I got this funny story. One time when I don't know how old I was. I was a teenager, but maybe a young teenager, and I wanted Grand Theft Auto for the Game Boy Color.
God.
And I went into like electronics boutique and tried to buy it. And I was out with my grandfather, and they wouldn't let me buy it because I think it was rated. I don't know if it was rated M. Might have been rated just T for teen, and it's so tame. I mean, it's fine that it's rated that. I'm not really complaining, but it is a very tame game. And so I got my grandfather. I'm like, I want this game. You just drive cars. Sometimes you can run over people. I don't know. It's an accident. And he's like, yeah, whatever. he just didn't give it. He's like, that's fine. He can have it. It's fine.
Sure, whatever.
And I think that's what a lot of parents do.
Right.
Just my secondhand observations in game stores. That happens a lot.
Or they just don't understand. Like, if my parents were my parents right now and I was a teen, I don't imagine like they would be on the YouTube watching like, here, let us explain how like the Sony marketplace works. So if your card's attached to this, and this is how your credit card bill got all these monies from the loot boxes. So maybe there needs to be like a YouTube channel for like, hey, parents.
There probably is. They're just not going to use it.
Right.
They're just not going to use it. I mean, and there's a lot of distinctions. Like, I would, our hypothetical kid, like, as like an 8 to 10-year-old, I would be totally comfortable with them playing Halo. Like, shooting aliens with green blood does not...
It's like cartoon violence.
It's very cartoon violence, but like Call of Duty, I don't, maybe not.
No.
So
Overwatch,
I think the descriptors do make that distinction sometimes, like realistic violence, fantasy violence.
Right.
I think sometimes they do make those distinctions, but for parents to make that, it's not always easy.
Right.
But like I said, these things are even helpful for just an adult. But sometimes even adults don't know.
Especially because there are some adults who have or had a gambling addiction and they're in recovery, and so of course they're not going to want to play a video game.
I'm going to relax with Overwatch.
Right, because it's easy to say to yourself like, oh, well, I'm not at a casino or I'm not playing slots on my phone, so I'm not gambling, but really it's the same, potentially the same feeling. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt anyone to put an additional warning on there. So, except for the kids who would lie to their parents and use their credit card. But
and the ESA is not going to like that.
Right.
So the next story we got the developer of Cosmic Star Heroine. I think it's Zeboid Games. Talked recently about their frustrating experience with Nintendo and getting their game on the eShop. And this is actually an ongoing story. This isn't the first time they've expressed this. For a long time, Zeboid Games couldn't even get a development kit. And they're an established developer. This is not their first game. Mm-hmm. I don't even think this is the first time working with... I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have games on the 3DS. They came sort of late in the... I'm not sure, and I'm not going to do research here on the fly. But they're an established developer. They have games out there. And sometimes you look at like Nintendo's eShops, and they have like, fucking nobodies publishing like the dumbest fucking games. And Zeboid Games can't get a dev kit to put Cosmic Star Heroine on the Switch. So I completely see where they're coming from. But Cosmic Star Heroine is coming out on the Switch, or it's already out. I don't know. It's
Who knows?
It's either just around the... We should know, but we don't.
It might be in the article we read, but...
It's either just around the corner or just came out, but it is coming out. And they've also expressed their frustration in terms of promotion by Nintendo. And this is where they kind of miss me a little bit because Nintendo can't promote everybody.
Right.
And sometimes they promote the weirdest stuff, but maybe that's because they're just trying to cover like a wide
that
in
was
terms of
my
indie
thought,
showcase.
yeah.
They're just, if it's just well-known indie games over and over again, okay, that's great, but maybe they're just trying to put the spotlight on things you've just never fucking heard of. Because this recent indie direct's got some weird shit that I'm not going to buy.
Yeah.
But so that's where they miss me a little bit. I've noticed other developers say the same thing about promotion or about how the eShop is set up. I don't think there's a perfect way to set up your digital storefront. It's very difficult. A lot of people complained about the 3DS one, but I thought the 3DS one was... It could have used some improvements, but it was pretty good. It was very good for window shopping and curation. If you wanted to see the latest releases, you just slide over to the left once, and that was the latest releases box. They had one of the most robust search engines on a digital storefront. You can search by, just anything, like by publisher, by tag, by genre, by name. It was very, very good. But people still complain about that one, and I'm not really sure where that was coming from. Sony just fixed this. Their search function was a piece of shit up until like 2 days ago. Everyone's got problems. I think the Switch is okay. I think it could do better curation because you open up and you land on recent releases. Well, that's pretty good because for a lot of folks, I want to know what just came out. I'm on there to download what's coming out. Mm-hmm. They got a sale tab. They got the charts. I think those are really good. The search function's okay. It's not as robust as like the 3DS, but it's not bad. And then they got like a featured. I think that can be improved.
Probably.
Maybe that's what you land on. And then maybe it could have just more graphically interesting because the featured, I don't know if it's called featured or what's hot or I don't know what it's called, but it is promoted stuff. It's curated stuff. And it just lines it up in a grid, just like every other page. And I think that of all the pages, that's the one where where it's beneficial where you don't have that. And it should be updated more frequently. You don't even visit it.
I don't ever check.
Well, I don't check it either. I look at what just came out, and I look at the sales, and occasionally I look at the charts to see what other people are playing.
I just scroll through chronologically.
Yeah. Just came out the first tab.
And then once I hit things that I recognize, I'm like, okay, well, I saw all the new stuff.
Right.
But there's so much stuff to even look at that it's overwhelming.
Well, that's the biggest problem with the eShop now.
Netflix.
There's like 20 games coming out every week, and that's why they need that better curation. So having like a featured page that is more designed to spotlight and highlight and talk about the games. But, it just hit me that they do that. But not on the eShop. They have that news tab. It's actually... Well, here's the problem with the news tab. So the news tab, so on your Switch is the news function down at the bottom there. It's actually not bad. You just have to... You have to not only look at it, but trim it down because you can subscribe to channels that you find interesting.
Oh.
So if you buy a game, I think it automatically subscribes you. If that game has a channel, a news channel, it automatically subscribes you to it. But sometimes you just don't need to know any more about the game, and so you can unsubscribe. But like games like Paladins, for instance, right? That has Paladins is the baby Overwatch on the Switch, and that
super fun.
It's good. We play it together. That's helpful to be subscribed to that news channel because then you get updates on Paladins. But it's not just It's not just current games or games that you bought. It's upcoming games. During the latest Indie Direct, which we're going to get to here in a second. They said that there's now a new indie channel that you can follow with news updates.
Okay. Yeah, I heard them say those words, but
right. So they sort of moved that kind of curation to the news feature on the Switch, which again, if you actually take the time to use it and set it up for yourself, it's actually pretty decent. I was surprised. I didn't think I was ever going to use it, and I do actually check on it from time to time now, but. You have to make the effort to do that. Yeah. Whereas if you're on the eShop, you go, oh, I'm browsing. Like, you don't want to walk into a store and someone to hand you, like, here's our newsletter. Like, right. you don't want that. You're like, well, can you just set up the store so I can look at stuff? I don't want the newsletter. So that's a fair point as well. But the news function does work. It's worth checking out. But
do you think they'd ever do something where it's like based on your wish list, the way Netflix is like, you might like this based on shit you have on your list?
I don't know if Nintendo... It would be nice.
It would be so nice.
The answer to your question is I don't think so.
Gotcha.
They might have like a customers who bought this also bought this. You might have that.
Okay.
But personal recommendations, I don't see Nintendo investing in an algorithm that does that for you.
It would sure make my life easier.
But I think that, because when you purchase a game, it brings you to a thank you page, continue shopping, or exit. Right. And then and there's so much real estate on that page, there's a lot of emptiness. Maybe if they just put like 3 games, like customers also bought this, I think that would be be good. There's plenty of space to do that there. They should totally do that.
Yeah. Because I guess you could, because I like rhythm games, I like romance, or not, well, I guess they're all romance, really.
You like
visual novel.
Visual novel, Tome games.
That kind of stuff. So it's okay to search by genre, because those are relatively small-ish genres. Right. But
it's not just about searching, it's about curation and featuring. I think it's like Zedboy Games and other people I've seen. Jules Watson from Atui Games has made mention of that. I think the eShop is okay, but it can definitely use better curating tools, especially, and suggestions. I think suggestions are the good one. I think the thank you page when you buy a game is a perfect place to put that, especially with just the deluge of games that are coming out in the eShop.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. Yeah. I don't even like to go to the eShop because there's so much crap that I just put it in a wish list and hope I never see, I'm like, one day when I've finished playing all these other games I just bought... Too many.
So Nintendo's next mobile game, which is not Mario Kart. They talked about doing Mario Kart, and we haven't heard anything about Mario.
On a phone?
Yeah, on the phone.
No.
Nobody knows how they're going to do it because they said we're doing Mario Kart,
and the steering wheel.
Literally nothing has happened since then. Early iPhone racing games actually did do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you tilt the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do that.
No, me either.
But. They're working with Psy Games, not DNA, which is interesting. They announced their partnership with DNA. They've been working with DNA, but this is with Psy Games. And they're releasing Dragalia Lost, and it's coming out the 27th of this month. And
it came out August 29th.
That's the date of the direct, sweetheart.
Oh, well,
that's fine. No,
I read this article.
You did read this article.
I didn't retain anything.
This is a mobile RPG, and there's a few. Well, a few. There's a lot of these in Japan. They're very popular there. I think like Grand Blue is very popular, and we don't have that. We talk about a lot on A4 Play.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't listen to A4.
Roy plays a lot of. He loves Grand Blue. Roy's from here, right?
From Connecticut?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But this is interesting. I'm interested to see how it turned out. We just had this whole huge mobile discussion.
Right.
I don't see myself
I am not going to play this game.
I'm going to check it out.
I'm absolutely not going to play it.
No, you're not going to check it out?
No, because I had that food fantasy experience, and I'm like, too many buttons. And this one, I'm like, well, now I have to talk to people and like group up if I want to. And there's raids, and like my phone screen is too small. I have an iPhone 6s Plus, and even that
but
is
that's like as
small.
big as like the phone screen.
I know. I just don't. If I'm gonna play something with raids and shit, I'm gonna want like a TV or a monitor. Like that's not.
You're holding up for the PS4.
No, I wouldn't even play it then, probably. I'm sure people will have a lot of fun, and it'll be great and whatever, but
it seems really skewed for the Japanese market.
Yeah.
It seems like this will be very popular there.
I'm sure it will be.
People play, when we were in Japan, and people that's all they played their games on. I don't think I saw a 3DS or Vita or anything in public, which is a sharp contrast to the past. I've been there, I've seen people play PSP, Monster Hunter in public, 3DS, DS. I would see that all the time, but it was just exclusively mobile.
Right.
It's just very big there.
I'm also concerned, like, you're gonna carry around your extra battery strapped to your phone forever, because I imagine that's gonna be hell on your phone battery.
Not everyone has a 6S. Some of our batteries actually last a day.
Some of us upgrade our iPhone as soon as a new one comes out. That's fine. Yeah, I like the possibility where you can customize your character a whole lot, and that it's not all cosmetic stuff. That sounds really cool, especially because, like, my favorite part of Golden Sun was arranging all of the Jin, in different configurations to see how it would alter your players in your party. And so, like, that was really fun for me. So this sounds similar, where, like, your whole thing is like figuring out how to make your character the way you want it, and there's all these options, and that sounds really fun. But the fact that I have to interact with other humans potentially and raid and like all that shit, and like have my phone open for the whole time for,
It's probably like optional stuff. It's kind of like Pokemon Go, where there's like raids, but like you don't have to. Not that either of us play that anymore,
right.
But you may not have to.
I was imagining like World of Warcraft, where it's like, all right, let's party up and go to like the location,
but
beat the boss and do the thing.
Right, but you didn't have to do that in World of War. I mean, if you wanted,
if you wanted any good loot or whatever,
sure.
I never actually finished playing World of Warcraft.
Well, I plan on checking. I did you can pre-register for the game. It's drgalialost.com/en/pre_registration. And then you can pre-register your Nintendo Network ID, and you get in-game currency, Wormite or something.
And there will be, of course, in-app purchases as well for a different type of currency. But like that seems like the norm now. Like there's not going to be any games where you couldn't.
No, because they experimented with Mario Run being a full-priced game. Actually, basically with a free demo and a full-price game. And people were upset. I got paid $10 for this. So
it's a whole game.
It's a whole game. It's a good game. That's like their best mobile game.
I played that. I didn't ever unlock the rest of it because Castle Cats, but
because they got in the way. I understand.
Was I playing Castle Cats then? I don't even know.
I don't remember.
We'll assume maybe I was.
As we mentioned before, there was an indie direct with Nintendo, and they talked about a bunch of games that are already. Most of them are pretty much games that have already been out on other platforms. Mm-hmm. Some that we already knew about were coming to the Switch now with release dates, and then some that we didn't know. So some of the highlights are Hyperlight Drifter now has release dates coming out in September, I think. Mineko's Night Market, which looks awesome.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, that looks good. I've been following that for a while. I'm glad it's coming to Switch. That comes out early next year. Undertale comes out this fall.
Yay!
We got the complete Towerfall experience coming out. Side note, something funny. I played Towerfall before most other people did because Towerfall originally came out on the Ouya.
Really?
That's where it came.
Shit. I've touched an Ouya.
Did you touch my Ouya?
I touched your Ouya.
You touched my Ouya.
I think it's still in our storage unit.
I think it's still in the storage unit.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants it. We got some Super Giant Games stuff. We got Bastion and Transistor. Bastion's a really good game. If you haven't checked, it's been on every other system. So if you haven't played it, definitely check that out. I like that a lot. I won't be buying it for like a fourth time. But Transistor is also coming. I bought that on the PS4. And it didn't. A lot of it jived with me. A lot of like the presentation jived with me, but some of the gameplay didn't. And I think that I might give it a second shot on Switch. Being able to play it on my own terms, handheld, I might be more into it. Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery EP is coming to the Switch. That came out of nowhere. It's a great mobile game. I remember when it came out because it has Twitter integration, and then you could tweet out lines of text that were on the screen. You just hit tweet, you connect to your Twitter account, and tweet it, and it'll put up these lines of this dialogue. And I remember when that came out, just everyone's Twitters were just spamming that. And they specifically took it out of the Switch version because they said Twitter sucks now. We don't want a part of it. It's a vat of toxic waste, I think is what they called it. So that got removed. Untitled Goose Game.
I am so excited about this.
It looks a lot of fun.
I want to honk my way through levels. They mentioned something about how it's a stealth game, but I'm going to see how well I can stealth. Probably not super great.
No.
I've never been good at stealthing, so I'm just going to pull a lot of pants down, do a lot of honking. It's going to be fun.
And Into the Breach, which is a strategy game, a critically acclaimed strategy game on PC. I don't know if it's on the other consoles. I'm not sure. But Into the Breach was a stealth release on Switch. They're like, hey, it's on there now. And,
by the way,
yeah, and I downloaded it, and I've been under the weather the past few days, so I haven't really had a chance to play it. But I want to. Looks good. Looks like a good strategy game. Looks like a good time. Were there any other games in that direct that kind of?
I can't remember what else was in the direct. Because I was eating, so...
I can't eat or play games and watch a thing.
I was really excited. I was probably hungry. I'm excited about Undertale because I played 5 minutes of Undertale on, Steam because one of my friends gave it to me. And
that's an 8.4 joint.
Is it?
Yeah.
Excellent. And I just never sit at the desk and play video games, so it'll be nice to sit in bed or whatever and play Undertale for reals and understand all of the appeal. So I think I've played Towerfall before.
I think you have.
I think with my internet friends when we met up in Texas, we played. Yeah. And that was fun. Yeah. I wouldn't play it by myself probably, but it was a fun time with like other people. So, yeah, no, whatever. I'm sure I'll see them all, add them to my wish list, maybe buy things.
We also have another Switch release coming up, Hover Revolt of Gamers, which is like the dumbest. It's such a stupid name.
I was like, is this a Gamergate game? I don't understand.
No, right? It does sound like a Gamergate game. It's absolutely not.
Hover is the name of the girl that they all want to have sex with, but they're mad about it.
It releases on Switch this month on the 18th, which is really cool. Finally has a release date. It releases on the other consoles, I think, either the same day or like a day before. It's around the same time. Which is funny that we just completely dismiss the other. Yeah, you can get it on the other systems, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there are ones that exist besides the Switch.
Right. This is kind of like an open world multiplayer
Jet Set
Radio, kind of like a spiritual successor almost. The composer, Hideki Nakanuma, he's done music
for other games.
Well, he's done Jet Set Radio, and he did a couple of Sonic games. He did like Sonic Rush.
Cool.
The only thing good about that game was the soundtrack. So that's exciting. He actually did some Persona remixes for the upcoming Persona music rhythm games.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Well, I watched the trailer and it looked like Tony Hawk, LSD, and line skating with like cool soundtrack.
Yeah.
So like I like all that, but it's unlikely I'm actually going to play it.
Yeah. No, I'll play it
because
that's how
I can't just.
I think it was a Kickstarter game.
It was, according to the article. Yes, it started as a Kickstarter game. But yeah, so it looks fun.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're playing and it seems fun enough, maybe I'll buy it so we can play together.
Yeah. We'll do that. Nintendo has taken down this popular Pokemon creator tool. I think it's called Pokemon Essentials.
Yes.
And this is sort of like off the tail of Nintendo playing a major part in Emu Paradise being taken down. It was a website where you could download ROMs.
Oh, okay.
I think these are almost two separate things.
Yeah.
To me, like they're lately in my older age, my position, I never really had a hardline stance on ROMs, but it's softened way more, especially in terms of when you talk about preservation. The industry is not very good at preserving itself, and there's just a lot of games that you just, unless you buy like ancient hardware and an ancient-ass cartridge
or a Retron
or something, the game's just not. It's not preserved really, and it's certainly not accessible, and it's not like on a digital storefront. It's not on Steam. There's no updated way to play it. So to me, like it's not a legal gray area. It's not legal, but to me, it's a moral gray area because like if I download this, in some very tiny infinitesimal way, you're contributing towards preserving it, but it's not like you're really taking food out of anyone's mouth. Like
right.
The publisher doesn't offer it anymore. They're not going to make a dime off of it. So I'm ambivalent to that, and for an industry that's just, especially among the big publishers, driven completely by short-term profit, they don't preserve their games, and they're not working to do that.
Right.
They only care about it when they can sell it to you again. So Emu Paradise, sure, okay. There's certainly a nuanced conversation there. People are mad about the Pokemon Essentials, but Pokemon Essentials actually used Pokemon assets.
See, and I'm going to disagree about that.
Okay, why?
Because I read a lot of fan fiction, so like my stance on IP is if you aren't making money from it and you're just using something that you love, because all the people who are using Pokemon Essentials were probably going to buy whatever Pokemon stuff
That's probably
Nintendo
true.
released.
Yeah.
They were just filling the gap in between releases, the way that people who write fan fiction are writing fan fiction to fill in spaces or fulfill fantasies of whatever situations that aren't addressed in the show, book, whatever. And so, no harm is coming from using the IP so long as you're not making any money from it. And because I do a lot of cross-stitch and stuff, like, people sell patterns for Pokemon stuff, or they sell patterns for Nintendo stuff.
Sure, and I make fan art too.
Right.
I make and sell fan art.
Right, and so there are people who make money from the intellectual property of Nintendo, and they're not being sued, but folks who are just doing it to have fun, and it's created...
They're not using the actual assets, though. Like, it's a little bit different. Like, I'm not actually taking art from a Nintendo manual.
You're taking the likeness and the...
But this isn't the likeness. It's literally the assets from the game. It's literally the tile sets and sprites.
So if somebody, remade the tile sets so that they were a slightly different color and whatever, then it would be okay?
I think I would feel a little bit better about it.
Okay.
I mean, as someone who makes stuff myself, I don't want people literally just taking that stuff and then just doing whatever they want with it. But if they were to integrate it into their own thing, literally start from scratch and make their own thing, just taking my shit and then building off. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, but I feel like if there's no money involved, it's, but also you're creating your art and Nintendo is a very big corporation, right?
Yeah.
These people make a lot I
feel
less
gulf.
bad about, right, yeah, there's a huge gulf between, your, art that you make, just you, Craig Lipinski, and then Nintendo, giant corporation, 1 billion people work for them, they make a lot of money. There's no harm. There's no financial harm, I don't think.
And most of those people are playing Pokemon. You're right.
Right.
But here's the thing. So we're speaking about... You're speaking largely about an ethical thing,
right?
But as far as a legal thing goes, oftentimes what ends up happening is if you don't protect your IP from,
then it's not yours anymore.
Well, I don't know what the legal. I don't know if you suddenly surrendered it, but basically, I think that the law basically requires you to pursue all infringement.
Well, that sucks.
Or there's a potential for someone else to go, hey, you let Pokemon Essentials do this for 11. It's because it's been 11 years.
Right.
They've been doing it for 11 years. Why can't I do it? You didn't go after them. So I'm not a lawyer, but I do think there's a legal component that basically forces their hand.
Right.
Because I think at one point Iwata, God rest his soul, pour one out for Iwata. I think at one point he did say that Nintendo isn't interested in going after, fans who use fan artists and stuff like that. And maybe Pokemon Essentials could... It's
just another medium.
Maybe. Also, what a company says when a company does aren't necessarily always the same things.
Right.
But, I kind of look at this and it basically gives you the same exact tile sets and sprites to build your own Pokemon game. Uh-huh. And also, if Nintendo is looking to maybe at one point in the future release a Pokemon Maker like Mario Maker.
Well, they should have just bought that shit from them because it was working.
Well, maybe that's a different discussion, but then that also puts them in a position where they have to protect their IP.
Right.
I think morally I'm not. It doesn't I look at this in a vacuum. I don't think you can blanket say, yeah, all tools are fine. I think in this case, number one, you're right. Pokemon fans like Pokemon games.
They're going to buy all that shit.
Most of them are. Some, not all of them, but most of them are.
Right.
Number two, I don't think anyone's making any money off this. And number three, it's just not hurting anyone. So, morally, I'm not really upset about this. But, at the same time, I don't think there's any way... It's the people who are angry about it. I don't think you can really... I don't think there's a place for you to be indignant when you're literally using Nintendo's art. You're taking their art, I don't know, maybe you can almost look at it as a DJ, maybe Girl Talk, maybe you can look at it almost like Girl Talk,
right?
Who if you're not familiar with Girl Talk, he remixes, he takes 11, 12 songs and mashes them together into one song, and he's phenomenal at it.
It's very good.
And he doesn't own any of those.
No.
Those aren't his. I don't even know how legally he sells his albums. I don't know what the legal space is for Girl Talk.
That's a good question. I wonder.
So maybe Pokemon Essentially you can look at it like that. I don't really know. I just know that if you're using someone else's shit, literally their stuff, and they're like, "Hey, dude, can you stop using our stuff?" I don't think you really have a lot of space to be upset about it.
You should be respectful of their request. Absolutely.
But on the other hand, you're probably right. This was probably hurting no one.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, because I consume a lot of fan fiction, fan art.
But because I make art, there's perhaps a different. But you're right. Maybe there's a lot of different angles of this. I guess.
And fucking Anne Rice is a perfect example, and always the one that fan fiction people go back to because she will sue.
She hates it.
She hates fan fiction. It's like, nah, dude, you created these beautiful characters. We just want to play in your sandbox. She's like, stay on my sandbox. And that's no fun.
I look at it, but it's not going to diminish her work. People are still going to buy Anne Rice novels. And she's still rich as fuck.
Right.
So, it's fine. And no one's making money off it.
E.L. James stole basically Twilight and turned it into weird sex bad books. And Stephanie Meyer, I feel like she did okay with that, right? Everybody knew that's what it was.
Yeah.
But, just let people enjoy the things they like. Well, if it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, it's certainly a complicated subject.
Although E.L. James was making money, so that's maybe different.
Right.
But then Stephanie Meyer made that other Twilight book where it was gender swapped, so... Because she's just raking in that cash, I guess.
Yeah, she needs that money.
Anyway, sorry, this turned into the fanfiction romance novel podcast.
But fanfiction, that's an interesting analog to this, and it brings up a good point.
Well, that's what I thought when I read it.
No, and that's a fair point. I guess I'm just looking at it from a creator standpoint where, I'm not rich and famous and no one really actually wants to use my stuff to do anything with it. But I'm just looking at it from the perspective, if they did, if they're not making any money off of it and they're just doing it because they enjoy what I've made, I don't think I would care.
Right.
But at the same time, I also feel like make your own shit.
Yeah. But so I guess my argument for that would be is that I, as you well know, read more fan fiction than I read books.
Yeah.
I started reading romance novels because it's very similar to fan fiction while being an actual original work. Mm-hmm. Because it was familiar sort of tropes and shit, and I love garbage. So where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Basically, whatever. Fuck it. Stuff and things.
Well, I think we had a good conversation.
I think we did.
That, yeah.
I'll try and remember because I had a whole beer. So
the whole beer.
The whole one.
That's your second beer, actually.
Yeah, I guess technically it was.
It was.
Oops.
Well, it's a shame that people can't. It's a shame that people can't play with it, but I also don't think there's a lot of room to be angry. I think that's basically what I'm saying.
No one needs to be angry.
There were some people that are upset, and like I said, liking it to Emu Paradise, but I don't think that they're the same things.
Right.
So we didn't do any calls for mailbag because this was sort of impromptu and unplanned.
Yes.
But we have an older one here from James Bozentka on Twitter. Seth, when he remembers, does call-outs for the mailbag on Twitter. We're at Ludowave Radio on Twitter. And he asks, what is a game series you wish you could get into, but you can't, no matter how hard you try?
Am I going first?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So I have two answers, one for console, one for handheld. And the console answer is The Witcher. I just can't. I mean, I played a bunch of the first one, but there was just so much of it. I was just like, nah, it's going to take too long.
It's a very PC kind of game.
Well, I played it on a PC in like an ex-boyfriend's bedroom.
That's the only platform I was on.
Yeah.
The first one, yeah.
And then The Witcher 3, I tried to play, I think, once or twice. And like the text is so small that I just, nah.
Yeah, it has a lot of roots in like what PC players want, which is there's certain. I mean, people who play video games, and that kind of there's not a huge gulf necessarily between the platforms like that, but there is some. And what I've noticed, like people who want to play a PC RPG, aren't necessarily looking for the same thing that people who play a console RPG. Well, and Witcher 3 in particular was designed with consoles in mind. Witcher 1 never came to consoles. Witcher 2 later came to the 360, but in my opinion, it was a UI mess. It was a disaster to play because it just wasn't optimized for consoles.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Nah, it wasn't. It was very difficult to play. Witcher 3 is an interesting choice because, I mean, I think I can get into it.
I gave it more of a try.
Right, me too. Because I've played quite a bit of it, and I think that if I put more time into it, I would enjoy it because all the bits and bobs are there. They're just sort of almost like represented in a way that I'm not used to. You know, as someone who will play a Bethesda RPG or someone who plays a lot of JRPGs. Right. Just the way that I don't know if it's an Eastern European thing or a PC. I don't know. But just the way that some of those things are presented is just slightly askew, slightly different. You know, collecting all like these different ingredients to make potions or whatever, and it's just there's a kind of overcomplication to it.
Will it be similar to like a Far Cry or like Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah, but I feel like that's a lot more simplified.
Is it?
And,
okay.
yeah, I think the number of ingredients and how you interact with them are often much more streamlined.
Right.
And I think that's probably the biggest difference, where like a lot of PC players want bigger and more options. And that's sometimes easier to represent on PC because you have a bigger screen. You can move your mouse around.
Your face is relatively close to the screen.
Your face is relatively close. So, for console stuff, it's easier to streamline because you have a bit more of a limited control input.
Right.
A smaller screen that you're further... Well, no, actually, it's probably a bigger screen, but you're further away from it.
Maybe you need glasses.
Right. I mean, a lot of JRPGs have cooking elements, but you combined an egg and rice, and you made an omu rice, and that's it. That's the extent of it. And The Witcher's not, not quite. It's a bit more complicated than that.
One of my friends was telling me that she I think she did all the is there DLC?
Yes,
I might be okay because she was telling me about, but
Blood
she
and
played
Wine,
Assassin's
which is
Creed
such
Origins.
That's a good fucking name, Blood and Wine.
Yeah. She was telling me all about it, and she got me hyped to play it, but I'm just kind of like, well, I tried it that one time.
Well, we own it, so...
We own it. Maybe. I don't know. I couldn't think of any other, console, because mostly I play Far Cry or Fallout.
And there's some overlap there, I think.
Right. And that's that and Overwatch.
Yeah, well, there's no overlap. There's not a lot of overlap.
No, I know, but, those are the console games I play. I don't tend to play anything else.
Right.
And then for handhelds... I picked Harvest Moon, which is surprising, but I tried to play those Harvest Moon games on the
the latest
3DS.
ones are really bad. But did you play Harvest Moon or did you play Story of Seasons on 3DS?
Sorry, I guess Story of Seasons.
Okay, fair enough.
Any of them,
yeah.
I feel like Stardew Valley has definitely ruined everything else for me.
Well, same. Even as someone who's a big Harvest Moon fan,
right.
Yeah, same thing for me.
And I played whatever the Zoo Animal one was on the Wii for Harvest Moon, because it was Harvest Moon.
That was still hard. That was actually that was Harvest
Moon.
And
that was really enjoyable. And I think when we started dating, you were like, "Oh, play this one, whatever," and you gave me a bunch of different options. And I tried them all. I was like, "Nah." Not loving it.
Yeah.
This is not my Wii zoo animal Harvest Moon.
Harvest Moon. So Harvest Moon, Harvest Moon meaning Ranch Story, and so Ranch Story, the old Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons. That's what I'm referring to here. Got progressively more restrictive.
Right, and there's so much explanation.
They over-explain themselves. So much tutorial, and then they restrict you from doing things until they feel like you're ready. Whereas older games said, here's your fucking farm, here's your dirt, figure it the fuck, here's your turnip seeds and your hoe. Get the fuck out of here.
You can figure this out. Bye.
Right.
I spent so much time on Googling. I had a notebook full of notes for who liked what, because I didn't have a smartphone, because this is pre-smartphone times.
Yep.
And I'd sit on my couch with my Wii, and my notebook full of notes and my netbook. That was good times.
Andy. Andy's my best man at my wedding. He's my best friend.
Wedding.
Our wedding.
We'll both.
I'm used to saying mine. You're not usually on this podcast.
That's true.
We'll both be there. You're right.
To correct you.
Not today. He and I used to play Harvest Moon 64. And I don't know when this was. This had to be late 90s, early 2000 or something like that. So we were in high school, and that was the last time Harvest Moon to me felt mysterious. Looking, I mean, you really couldn't. I mean, you can
look stuff up.
You really couldn't. You really look. I mean, sometimes you did. Sometimes there were there had to be websites where there was stuff, but I think Nintendo Power did a feature. So there's stuff like in Nintendo Power, and we would figure things out and share these things with each other. So there's that sort of uncovering secrets, collaborative element to it.
Right.
And that was the last time I ever experienced that. That's not entirely true. Friends of Mineral Town, which is kind of a handheld follow-up to that, had a little bit of that as well.
I think I tried to play that on a ROM.
That's my favorite Harvest Moon. But I haven't felt good about Harvest Moon since Friends of Mineral Town. And like you're saying, Stardew Valley kind of rekindles a lot of that feeling.
Yeah, it does.
Because it doesn't explain anything.
I mean, I definitely use the wiki, but
me too. But that's part of it. I mean, it's no different than reading a Nintendo Power article and getting tips from it.
Because I can't be bothered to remember all these 25 people's favorite shit when their birthday is. Although the calendar will tell you, but I can't. Yeah. My brain doesn't hold that kind of information anymore.
No, it's not worth getting. And the new Harvest Moon, which is not Ranch Story,
right?
is, and that's what it's called in Japan for the record, is just utter trash. It's just garbage. So that's not even worth getting into.
Do you think that they've been trying to release them for like a younger audience, and that's why like the tutorials are longer?
Well, that's a possibility. I think like a lot of video games in general, for a long time, they're moved towards
too much
training wheels.
Right.
And then there was also like more recently you see a much more deliberate effort to let go of those. So you see like Breath of the Wild or like Dark Souls.
Right.
And they are often described as tougher. But tougher than what? Tougher than games with training wheels? Yeah, of course. You're gonna fall down and you're gonna skin your knee. But they're also very critically acclaimed.
Right.
So, I think people in general are just ready to let go of those training. Maybe there's
how to play
right.
This game.
Maybe there's a little bit of a fine line that you can walk. But I pick up a Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons now, and people just want to fucking talk my ear off. I don't want to play it anymore. It's not farming. It's just fucking talking to people for a half hour.
So does that mean you agree that Harvest Moon is one of those, or Story of Seasons is one of those like series that you just can't get into?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
What about you? Anything else, console or otherwise?
So actually, I started writing stuff down here, and it's interesting because they're all big name series that listeners of the show,
surprise me at all.
Right? The listeners of the show probably know I can't get into. That's not to say, for a while there, I would say probably for those that watch my YouTube videos and have listened to like the TV and Less podcast, there's a period of time where like I rallied against like big budget, AAA, big name games. And the truth is, I don't think I'm actually against those. I actually play a lot of big budget, big name games. I mean, Overwatch is a huge game.
Yeah. They got so much merch.
Destiny's a big game. Breath of the Wild was a huge game. I mean, these are big games. But there are other big games that I can't get. Grand Theft Auto is one. And I've played all of them.
Okay.
Even from the PlayStation 1 beginning. I've played all of them. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is interesting because it's massive. It hasn't left the top 10 sales charts since it came out. It's like it has to be the best selling game.
How long ago was that?
Years before we were together.
Damn.
It has to be, if not the best selling game of all time, one of the best. People keep buying this fucking game.
Want to hit hookers with cars, I guess.
It's the online mode.
What does that mean?
You play online together. You can build shit and have all kinds of yeah. People fucking love it.
So it's almost like Minecraft.
It's well, I don't think it's quite like that, but I think there's a sandboxy, cooperative, competitive element to it. And I wish I could get into that. I played Grand Theft Auto 5, and the most enjoyable part of it that I had was just nonsense. It's not the actual game, and maybe people will be like, "Yeah, that's the point," but I still want to actually enjoy the actual game.
Right.
It's sort of like Saints Row, where like contrasting the two. I do, but I like the extra stuff, like the loyalty missions I was talking about. That's not main game. I like running up buildings and just punching dudes into the sky.
Right.
I love that shit. But I actually like playing the main missions there too. In Grand Theft Auto, I don't like the main missions at all. No. But then I was like, oh, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Mass Effect. Mass Effect maybe is not nearly as relevant as it once was, but like these are big games that come out in the fall and that people are talking about, and I want to be part of that conversation. I just can't wrap my head around these games.
I've heard a lot about Mass Effect. I have a lot of friends who love Mass Effect.
You might like Mass Effect, but for me it was just like a really janky experience on 360.
I'll be more forgiving.
Mine, like some of my problems were like I would get stuck on like geometry, and by geometry I mean like a railing. I got stuck on a railing once. I had to reload a save because I couldn't. It was just a flat railing, and I was just my character. I was just stuck on the railing. I get stuck on stuff. It would just crash. One of the characters, who's voiced by Seth Green, has a beard, and I didn't know that. For the first, and the beard never fucking loaded, and it's weird. It sounds like a little thing, and it is, right? But it completely changed my perception of the character because all of a sudden, like this wisecracking dude suddenly has this big giant beard, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to make of you anymore, Seth Green.
Doesn't sound like Seth Green should have a beard.
And it was, the frame rate was bad. Like it ran like shit on the 360. The controls were sluggish. It just didn't feel good.
So if they ever actually fixed it and re-released it would probably be okay.
I could be into it. I could be, but it would have to run way faster, and people are like, "That's the PC version, jerk." And like, I don't play on the computer. I don't do that.
Well, Call of Duty and Battlefield, like that's just some dude bro bullshit.
I will never get into that.
I used to play Call of Duty in like was it Call of Duty like Black Ops or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I play that with my brother-in-law, and he was bad at video games, so he's always like, "Oh, you're so good at this." I was like, "Hell yeah, I am." I really wasn't, because I can't aim, as Craig could attest to. But
That's true.
I always felt like cool playing with playing boy games. I guess as a female playing like a boy game, you know, and
Predominantly male,
and being like kind of good at it.
Yeah.
I was just like, hell yeah, I'm the coolest ever. But now I'm like, nah, that's boring. You're just shooting a bunch of people on a map.
I don't really get into the multiplayer modes, and like, I don't, the jingoistic, you know, rah-rah kind of shit doesn't do anything for me either in terms of the single player.
I don't think I've ever played a single player.
I played all three of the Modern Warfare games because they were, I mean, that was like at Call of Duty's like, I mean, they were huge then. And I really wanted to get into them. I played a little bit of the multiplayer. It was like kill, die, kill, die, kill, die. I couldn't do it.
Was there a Call of Duty on the Wii?
Yeah, I think
like a World War II one or something.
I'm trying to. I want to say I know there's some on the DS.
Okay,
I think there might have been like one Call of Duty that was ported to the Wii.
because I think we had when the Wii was new, my family got a Wii.
There's there's Medal of Honor on the Wii.
Maybe that's what it was, and we got whatever fucking game it was. Like I remember playing that one.
I played the Medal of Honor on the Wii, and it was actually not that bad. It used a lot of like interesting controls to.
Sure,
okay.
I can't remember a lot about it,
but yeah,
I know that there were planes.
Like I play a lot of shooters, but like just the real world military thing doesn't hoorah, stay frosty, like kind of like we're Oscar Mike doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Titanfall is like the closest. Like that's slightly militaristic, but like you have giant robots.
Yeah, there's sort of like a fantasy aspect to it or sci-fi, I guess is
because I was thinking about like I actually play a lot of shit. Like I like Splatoon.
Yeah, we play a lot of shooters.
Overwatch, Destiny,
Paladins,
Fortnite. You know, so I do actually play a number of shooters. It's just like that real
weird like
military thing doesn't do it. Nah, I don't like it. But like I guess I want to be part of the conversation. You know what I mean?
I guess
Call of Duty isn't as part of the conversation as it used to be.
Is there like a lot of conversation about it?
Some, but my Twitter feed is so curated now that like no.
So no.
And then I also wrote down Assassin's Creed, but only because that one's interesting because it's sort of like Call of Duty, where like I don't like the Assassin's Creed games, but I want to be part of the conversation. But I like where Assassin's Creed is at now. So it's like it's actually it doesn't quite answer the question because. I can get into it now, but that's the interesting thing. For years, for like a decade, I could not.
Well, and I played the first Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I played like I don't tend to finish games, so I played like a chunk of it, probably a good chunk, and like I really enjoyed that. But that was because I think it came out around the time of like Mirror's Edge, so there was a lot of that around
similar time
right?
frame.
So you know you're climbing, you're running. I'm afraid of heights, so for me, like anything involving heights in a video game, even though I know like they probably maybe won't die, like there's all this adrenaline coursing through my body while I play it. So it was really fun for me, but. I can't imagine playing all like 5, 6, 7, whatever.
I didn't like the
pirate
combat
one. Sounds
stuff.
fun, but it probably wasn't very good. I like the concept more than probably the actual.
Well, it's interesting because Ubisoft has done a spin-off for that.
Yeah.
So they actually have a separate pirate game because they had that pirate concept.
It's called Buccaneers because
no, it's not. It's not.
Is there a Buccaneers game?
I forget. I think it's like Skull and Bones or something. I don't know what the fuck it's called. Something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, because people actually responded really well to that, and they're like,
"Everyone wants
did
to
we
be a pirate.
do all Assassin's Creed games as pirates?"
No.
And I'm like, "No, but
history."
So they're doing a separate series.
Gotcha. Well, I won't ever play it, but it sounds nice.
But I really liked Origins, and I'll play. I don't think I'm gonna get Odyssey. It comes out like 3 days before we get married, so
yeah. I mean,
I'll be late to our wedding. It's fine. You wait a few months and it's half price.
Right.
So I'll get it but I will get it. That's the thing.
Right.
So that's kind of flips the script there, where for a long time I couldn't get into it. They had to completely change the game for me to want to do that.
Well, I watched you play a lot of Origins.
You did,
and it seemed like a game that I would probably enjoy. If I ever get through the Mars and Zombies DLC for Far Cry 5. I might just skip them, but we'll see.
Them. I think you'll have more fun.
I hate
with
that we
Origins.
got like a season pass for this DLC and it's all trash. Like that.
Well, the game itself is not.
And yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah. You actually finished it, though.
Do better, Ubisoft. Yeah, I did finish it.
I played, was it somewhere between 5 and 10 hours?
Joseph Seed's hot bod kept me going. Just like, gotta see that boy again.
I want to show you my collection of artisanal mustards.
He doesn't know what mustard is. Oh, that was quite the game.
All right. Well, do you have anything you'd like to add? It seems about the end of the show.
I think we've talked about all the video games that I've ever played in the last year, maybe.
Well, I want to thank everyone for listening. You can find us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Ludowave Radio. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Please review us, particularly on Apple Podcasts. It's very helpful, helps with discoverability. Just you can wish this terrible podcast on more people. You can also find Ludowave Radio on Twitter and on Facebook. We're at Ludowave Radio on both. Our theme song is composed exclusively for us by Morning Moon and Mercury. You can find more of his stuff at morningmoonandmercury.bandcamp.com. You can find me, Craig. I am on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm at TVList on all three of those things. You can also follow my artwork Instagram and Twitter. I'm not going to pitch this every episode, but it's at Minato Artworks on both Twitter and Instagram. Mm-hmm. Megan, do you want to share yours? You don't have to.
I have a Twitter, but I don't ever check it, so I don't actually know what my username is. But I have an Instagram, and I'm at Desperately Seeking Salsa. Best name ever. If you want to see photos of our cats that Craig hasn't already shared, or photos of food that I've made, or D&D session. I mean, I take photos of random shit and post it. But that's basically where I'm at social media. Oh, Craig found me. I guess I'm at Moosey Moose, but I honestly, I have no idea when I tweeted last. I don't ever check it because Twitter is a hellscape that I just can't participate in.
All right, and we're out.
All right, thanks.